Usually, with the exception of last year, I would be finished planting by now. And I discovered something last year. I was planting too soon. This year, winter just doesn't seem to want to go away. Last week we had 2 nights back to back where the temperature was, air temp was about 34 degrees for about 2 hours in the early morning hours. But that air temperature is just too cold for little small plants, 1-2 inches tall. They don't like it. It stuns them, and then it takes them a while to recover from that. So you end up losing what you thought you were going to gain with that early planting. The big time farmers around here are more concerned with getting their tobacco in the ground. Once they finish that, then they'll start planting their beans, and usually their bean planting time is 1st of June, about the first 2 weeks of June. And I learned something last year with the late planted beans, but I couldn't get them in the ground because I had weed out here. Had to get the weed off, and then all the rain was messing with it. But when around here, weed germination, the water hemp and the morning glory, they've got a long germination time span. Usually starts in June when the air temps and the soil temps are high enough for them, and they can keep seed laying in the ground, can keep right on germinating on up into August. So you time your herbicide application, you go out there and spray your beans, and you kill what has germinated and what's up, and just about time you see that start dying off, a bunch more seed would germinate and start to sprout and grow, and you'd have to go back with another spraying. And people that have been watching my videos for a while watched last year and saw me out there like a field hand pulling weeds. I mean, you get out in the middle of a 5-acre field and start pulling weeds, and then you look up and see, you know, what you've got done and what there is left to do. And it's an overwhelming feeling, almost like I'm out here scrubbing the kitchen floor with a toothbrush. I'm fed up with it, sick of it. I fought it for 3 years. Roundup's just not doing the trick anymore. I added Flexstar to it. That's very expensive. Flexstar works to a degree, but the problem is that long germination period on my 2 most notorious weed types out here, I was having to go back and spray it again. And when you get in, you know, little taller beans up around 12 to 15 inches tall, when you drive back over them, they don't recover real well from that. So I deliberately made up my mind to hold off on my planting this year until the last part of May. I'll get started last week of May, and with the timing schedule like it is, working a part-time job, if the rain will cooperate, I'm hoping to finish planting by the end of the 2nd week of June. That's going to put me more in line with what the big farmers around here do. Avoid those cold nights, and try to get my herbicide application in a little better timing with that weed germination. I'm thinking Liberty Link now for maybe the next 3 years. It's a more expensive program, but if I can get this morning glory and water hemp, or pigweed as some people call it, back under control, then I can probably go back to the less expensive glyphosate Roundup program. But this fighting weeds has got to come to an end. I know for about the first 10 years of doing soybeans on this land, I'd plant them, come out and spray them when the plants were about 10-12 inches tall, and I was done. It was go read a comic book and come back when it was time to harvest. I had really clean fields back then. But I guess, you know, weeds constantly changing and redeveloping their tactic. They adapted to that glyphosate, and it stopped killing them.